Okay, I think we're live. Let me confirm. Can you see it? Are you going to watch it while we do this?
Yeah, I'm back looking at my screen while I'm watching Hellier and stuff.
Yeah, okay. I think we're live. Welcome back, everybody. Supernatural Instinct. I already fucked up the title of the show. That's great. Podcast about supernatural stuff and also conspiracy theories and cults. And what else do we talk about? Weird anomalies.
Weird anomalies and sunken civilizations.
Paranormal research, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Basically, we're a bunch of gamers. Two of us. There's a bunch of us. And it's kind of inspired by the Hellier series and the Penny Royal podcast featuring Nathan Isaacs, who he was talking about that Kentucky anomaly last time. We were talking about that, how he had said there was a big quartz node underneath Somerset, Kentucky, and he said it caused a magnetic field. And I've been thinking about that a little bit. Quartz is a crystal. Like diamond is the hardest material, and it's a crystal, right? Or a gem.
It's a crystal, but it's like made out of compressed carbon. While
is it dense though? Because diamonds aren't heavy like lead is.
No, they're not dense, but they're their structure is such that they're very hard.
But would they create a magnetic field?
No, but like quartz, you find gold in quartz. Well, and iron is mixed together with quartz a lot of times.
Yeah, I was trying to research that. I couldn't find anything much on the Kentucky anomaly. I don't know where he was getting all his stuff from, but I even went to the NASA thing he was talking about, trying to download these maps that show the magnetic field of the Earth in different places where you can zoom in on Somerset and see a big spike. I couldn't find it.
Either the government's covering it up, or he doesn't have like credible.
I mean, he said it so many times. I don't think he's just going around lying, but it was hard to research.
I'm just wondering. It might be like he's the guy researching it, and so all like you'd have to go to all the research and stuff that we know about it. He's like gone out there himself and taken scans. We might need like a third party to verify his findings.
Who's this? Oh, Griff. Apparently he wants to join in on this live stream. So we should wait. What? You're watching the stream? How do I get your icon off the screen? Because it's like you took up a third of the screen for a Discord logo.
I think it's just while he's in the channel.
Do you have a camera on? Or can you not do any? Don't do any.
Be safe for work.
No naked stuff.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Look at all his fucking toys. I didn't know you were that into stuff like that. Alright, so we're talking about how we're gamers and stuff. One of the things I want to talk about tonight is this cult that might be in an old video game I found out about. This game called Worlds.com. You guys ever heard of that? It was like back in like Windows 95 days.
Isn't it Text Adventures that was what it was?
No, there's like a 3D world, kind of like Wolfenstein or something, but it was before Second Life. Second Life had a little bit better graphics, and everybody kind of switched over to that. But this had this guy in it, and they say there might have been like people would go in there. This was like way after the game was like dead, but this one guy that owned it kept paying money to keep the servers alive for some reason. And people were like 4chaners or somebody from like they would go in there, and this guy would show up, and he had like a goat's head and a weird like avatar. It was all spooky, and he would like take him on a tour of like the secret rooms. You go down this bathroom and there's like a staircase, and it's like you go into hell, and there's all these weird pictures on the wall. And one guy was like he was collecting photos of people, like dick pics and nudes and stuff. And I don't know if they thought there was like a cult going on where they were like stalking people and doxing people and weird stuff like that.
So it's like a dead MMO that no one plays anymore, except for this weirdo and like a cult following or something.
Yeah, like you could download it now, I'm assuming. Worlds.com, and you go in there and
I'm gonna Google it right now.
This guy named Nexpo, he does kind of like weird videos.
Oh yeah, I watch his channel actually. He's always finding like weird shit on the dark web.
Or something else he had a video about. See if I can find
He
it.
does like the rabbit hole videos. There's all these weird pictures. Like one Nexpo did was kind of reminds me of this. There's like this lady who has multiple different accounts, but it turned out it was like a fan base doing it.
Not really finding anything.
It was like all of her names were slightly different on Facebook, and she was all friends with herself. And there's like 200 of them or something.
Oh, another video we did was this 96.7 FM, this radio station near, where's that weird town? Not Seattle, but Oregon.
Well, didn't Rogers and whatever used to have the channel in here? We connect to like some fucking channel from
Beaverton,
Russia.
Oregon, which is a suburb of, what the fuck is that called? Portland. It's near Portland. So it's probably just some weird Portland thing because everybody there is kind of doing weird stuff anyway.
Antifa.
But
Mostly.
you would tune into this, they'd play like weird sounds. Sometimes it'd be just static, but it wasn't like the radio static, it's somebody playing static. And then sometimes it'd be like JFK giving a speech or like the moon landing stuff going on.
The number stations.
Yeah, it's like a number station, but it's different. Like, did we ever figure out what number stations were?
Nope. There's still a lot of them still going on to this day.
Yeah.
Is it like
Nexpo did
leftover
like-
from Cold War stuff?
Maybe. But like they just repeat themselves over and over again, and sometimes just weird noise, static, and shit in the background, and it sounds like someone talking, but you can't make out what it is.
Didn't they figure out what that the hum was on Zug Island?
There's a few of those, right? People keep experiencing like they hear it, but no one else can hear it. Only certain age groups can hear certain noises.
I think they finally solved that. Remember the picture we looked at the other day of the Skinwalker where he has his back all bent?
Yeah.
That was from a movie, I think. Somebody was saying. But it looked slightly different in the movie, so I don't know if the movie was based on that. Maybe it is a real thing, or... What was that? I'm looking at my history. What's the name of that movie? Oxbow or something like that.
Maybe he's been hitting me too hard.
Anyway, another thing we want to talk about tonight is like we've all been playing Valheim, which is based on Vikings and Norse mythology. So I had a kind of a theory about.
I've been playing this shit, and I've been trying to find people to play with, and you didn't tell me you're playing it.
Really? Looking for that?
We got a server we've been playing on, and it's like
Yeah, it's our guild server, so they don't really let anybody just join.
Send it to me.
You could have joined our single player though. So let me show you guys this. Let me see if this is working. How I think it works. Okay. That went all black. What's up with that? It's supposed to be my browser. Why is that not working?
it's like share screen instead of share.
Hang on. What the fuck? I gotta be able to show my browser.
T2, I'm not. Have you added on Steam?
I don't know.
Might have taken you off years ago.
You guys talk about a topic that you would like to discuss while I figure this out.
Well, I was watching this videos on about sunken treasure ships. One of them was like off the coast of Cuba. There's a 400 feet down, maybe it's like meters. There's like a sunken ziggurat down there, like a little temple. So there's all these like different civilizations that also
Got
use
it. Never mind.
pyramids.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Keep talking. I did fix it though.
So my idea was like, is the birthplace of why did we start building pyramids? And like different cultures have different versions of pyramids. Is it just because it's an easy building to kind of like structurally support itself?
Okay, think about it. It's building a mound. It's literally what a pyramid is. It's
Were we
building a
talking
mound.
about that thing next to Japan? The guy found it was like looked like a pyramid, and then he
Yeah,
it had like a bunch of straight edges and stuff. It looked like a total city or something he'd found. Then somebody was
Yeah.
saying it was natural. It didn't look natural
yeah.
to me.
Some people are saying it natural now, but like, there's saying, oh, it's just like a basalt formation or something, but it looks like a fucking layout of a town. Same thing with the Eye of Sahara. That looks like the ruins of like a civilization used to be there. But all these archaeologists are like, no, it's just forget about it. It's a natural. You sure about that?
Anyway, the Norse thing I was wanting to talk about. Let me show you this. So this is the world tree in Norse mythology, Yggdrasil. And a lot of pictures will have like this dragon at the bottom of it. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. Yeah, Nidhogger. So he's like biting on the roots of the world tree. Then within the world tree, you've got all these realms. This one's like not even on some of the things. Or that one. If you look at this one's pretty simple. You've got
Can't see you're showing your.
Well, it's a little
camera.
bit delayed. Are you looking on Discord or stream?
I'm looking on Discord.
Yeah, you gotta look
On
at
the
the stream. Yeah.
Okay.
So Midgard is where the mortal realm is. This is where we're all at. Then you've got Bifrost, which you probably know from the Avengers, and Heimdall, who watches over Asgard and keeps humans out of it. I guess unless you die and go to heaven. Then you got Valhalla, where the Vikings go. And you got Odin and the Aesir. And then over on this side, you've got Vanaheim. And then you got Alfheim, which is elf land. Heim, I guess, means land. Alf means elf. And
So
then you've got Svartalfheim, which is dark elf's land. You also got dwarves there, the Nidavellir. And then you've got Helheim, which is hell. It's the realm of lost souls, Hall of the Dead, that kind of stuff. And you've got Muspelheim, which is like the fire giants. Niflheim with frost giants, ice dragons and shit. And then you've got Jotunheim, which is just where the giants are from, the homeland of the giants.
So Valheim seems to be an amalgamation of all.
Yeah, like Valhalla land or something.
Yeah.
Kind of how it started, though. You were just introduced to the world by Crow. Yeah.
You also got this wolf named Skull, which is what they say, or it's Skull when they toast the drink or whatever.
T2, just take a break real quick and send the IVP. I do want to play on the server.
I can't see that one. That's my guilds. They'd keep me out.
Get you.
I was allowed to bring friends to the server, so you just.
I mean, we can get you into the guild maybe. But what's Hevergilmir? See, that's not on the original one. I don't know. Anyway, the thing I wanted to talk about was, the Valkyrie. What is this?
Yeah.
The Valkyrie are like the female warriors, right? Or are they something else?
They're supposed to ferry souls to the underworld. They're like Grim Reapers, essentially.
Well, you remember in like Bugs Bunny, they used to like dress up as the Valkyrie and they'll do that kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit. That was like, it's like featured in Wagner's opera.
Yeah.
It's always like when you have an opera singer, she's dressed up like a Valkyrie from Norse mythology for some reason, because they're usually doing Wagner's four-piece.
They're usually fat doing that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a Viking lady, like.
Fat Viking lady.
The Ring des Nibelungen, the Nibelungenlied. That's what Wagner did. And one of those is the Götterdämmerung and Die Valkyrie. So, I'm wondering if this is where Christianity got the idea of angels from. Because, here's another thing. Remember I was reading those books about the wizard in Chicago, the Dresden Files.
Yeah.
And the last one I read, there's this thing called the Wild Hunt. Which, if you look that up, it looks like this. There's a painting of the Wild Hunt.
Well, Hunt is that the same thing from The Witcher? The Witcher used that?
Was that in The Witcher?
Yeah, it's like recent. They use a lot of creatures from like Norse mythology and that.
So basically, there's a bunch of spirits that come around and just start like hunting shit, and they're either led by the leaders of them. It's like either like Satan or these like legendary people, Woden, Herod, Cain from the Bible, I guess. That's kind of weird. How'd that get mixed in with more stuff?
Woden? Who's Woden again? 'Cause it sounds really familiar.
There's Wotan. I think Woden's related to him or something. Woden and Wotan. And then it says something here about Santa Claus. Like he's like in the book, the wizard book, he's like one of the fairies, the Fey folk. Or yeah, here it is. The role of Wotan's Wild Hunt during the Yuletide period has been theorized to have been influenced by the development of the Dutch Christmas figure Sinterklaas and by his extension Santa Claus in a variety of facets. This includes long white beard and his gray horse for nightly rides. So like in the Dresden Files, he shows up and he's like leading this wild hunt going around like a bunch of ghosts, like killing all these Fae that are coming out. It's like kind of gets pretty crazy.
It's like in The Witcher, that was kind of how it was. There's like these, like that. There was a bunch of ghosts and specters and reapers and wraiths and shit. And they'd have like a wraith king, and they just go around and hunt humans for fun.
It's probably also where they got the idea of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, right?
Yeah, it could just. Cause here it's like more like a horde of. It doesn't specify how many.
Because you got these leaders of the hunts that all ride horses. It's kind of like and they come like through the clouds. Like I wonder if there's actual accounts of people seeing a wild hunt, like ghosts in the clouds coming to like fuck up shit. Is that something people actually experienced?
Well, is it the wild hunt sounds like an apocalyptic scenario? Like how are people supposed to fight off like gods and a bunch of other minions?
I don't know. It was really interesting though. Seeing the wild hunt was supposed to presage a war or a plague, they say. Maybe even where they got the headless horseman idea from Halloween, because Halloween's kind of like a time when the veil's supposed to be thin, the ghosts come through.
Yeah, it's the like the witching hour and all that.
And they say witnesses that if they saw the wild hunt, they could get sucked into the Fey realm, the realm of the Fey, which would be Alpine? No, that's the Elfland. There's a difference between elves and Fey. And if you're new to the thing, if you're new to the podcast, the fairies are not like Zelda fairies or Tinkerbell. Fairies can be like gruffs, like the Billy Goat's gruff, goat men from Diablo, that kind of a thing. Or
like
that kind of like woodland monsters and creatures and stuff. Or Pan. Pan would be a Fae.
Yeah, Fae are like anything that like anything you would think it's like is it fairies, elves, but they're not like friendly. A lot of them are like almost like monsters, the way they're described.
That's what it is. It's a objective world of monsters. I mean, goat men, etc.
I think they're also weak to things like iron or salt. I think salt's for ghosts, but like in the Supernatural TV show, I think they also talk
iron.
About,
like iron. Wrought iron, you could kill a ghost, like not kill it, but like make it go
like
away.
They would always try to like offer you something and kind of trick you, and you would say something to like trick them back. Like you would offer them money that's made of iron or something, they wouldn't be able to take it, and then you get out of the deal, something like that. I've read about.
Yeah, like oh yeah, I can buy this from you, but like you offer them like iron coins, right? And then they can't take it.
Something like that. It wasn't that exactly.
I remember from Supernatural they had a few of these where it was like let's say it's like a little gremlin dude walks up to a house and there's a child inside, and it would be like, hey, can I come inside? No, you're not allowed to come inside. So you has to get your permission to come inside
like
your house.
Like vampires.
Yeah, just like what was the vampire movie that they always had to ask to come inside?
Oh, don't let the right one in.
Yeah.
Or Let Me In America.
It was an older one, 90s.
Shoot, I don't know. It's like a bunch of them have that, I think. There's that one where like it was nighttime in the city all the time or something.
Maybe.
It's not Blade or anything like that.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I just cannot remember the name to save my life.
So vampires definitely not real though, right?
Well, probably not in the same way we think of it, because like a lot of those original books, right? Like,
I mean, you have vampire bats. Well, they don't really drink blood.
They don't particularly drink it. They'll bite you and then they like lick it up, just lap up the blood. But
I don't think even like paranormal research believe in vampires.
No, or werewolves, because it's so like in movies they like Underworld they tried to do what they could to kind of explain it with science or something, but
There's a thing on the cryptid Reddit, which I'll go to that real quick.
Wait, T2, was it Dust of Dawn?
Yeah, well, no, that's the one that's out in Mexico. They're in that bar. Guy has that revolver cod piece. Remember that? What was I saying about the cryptids? Oh, they got a Rougarou. It's like a werewolf. Rougarou, you ever heard of that? Or
no, but I heard something. It's like close to that. Every
Loup-garou also. Yeah, here's a Rougarou, which is just got werewolf. I don't know if it can turn into a human. Maybe it's just always a wolf man. It's like the wolf.
were
man.
means like wolf, right? And then so
A were means it can change from human into whatever it is, like a were shark.
or werebear from
Yeah.
Skyrim or something.
While I'm on here, this is pretty interesting. I think you guys are really gonna dig this. A while back, 5 days ago or so, the cryptid Reddit really got interested in this thing called the Fresno Nightcrawlers. Have you ever heard of those?
What the weird crawling thing that you showed me?
No, this is a different kind of crawler. I think I got some videos of them on here.
One thing I saw was like kind of reminds me of puppets on stilts. They're like walking through a field.
Yeah, that's it. I think.
Yeah.
Did I ever find? I don't think I ever found the right video of them.
It reminded me of. It look kind of reminded me of stop motion all the way. Almost. They look all janky when they walk.
A lot of these are meme videos, so I'm trying to find a legit one. Yeah, they're basically a head with 2 legs and no arms or torso.
Yeah, and they just kind of like walk. They reminded me of like emus or some shit. Way because they just walk around.
Which one of these is the real video? I guess it's maybe this one. Oh, some dude's got to be talking. Okay, here we go.
His property were investigated by Fact or Faked, a TV show that was on Sci-Fi. On the show, they tested out various claims. They tested out a puppet,
Yeah, there it is.
child tests,
Oh, they're testing like.
actually on the footage, and what they ended up concluding
Yeah, those.
this footage.
So they're like trying to make it look fake.
This, however, was not
And they
the
can't.
only sighting of these mysterious creatures
Yeah.
known as the
Though
Fresno
because of the
Nightcrawlers.
stream, so I'm trying to watch
In
it.
March, a similar which were walking down.
So if you look, the footage that I saw was like this, just kind of like walking through a field. It's
They
like
made, like,
aliens
tree
pretending to be
sculptures.
a person or something.
Somebody thought they could have been funguses that have learned to move.
Otherworldly.
And it's like a time lapse or something.
There's another photo of them walking down this thing.
Yeah, look. It's the fake one, right?
Okay, here's the video.
Yeah, see? It look. They're walking like they don't have any weight to them at all.
Yeah, they're
And
really
then
billowy.
He was talking about. He shows at the end kind of like weird tree sculptures, and it's like the Indians have like these tree sculptures.
This looks like it could be a kid wearing a cape, but you can't see the kid because he's kind of like the same color as the background or something.
Yeah, 'cause
Like you can see
just
it's like
looks like
flapping.
legs with no arms walking around.
It's almost like a level 1 mob in a video game. Like, this would be so easy to take down.
Yeah. Look at it walk.
Okay, now this one here is more clear. There's 2 of them.
But I've seen stuff like people saying, "Oh, it's just fishing line, someone pulling it along or something," you know.
I
But
didn't do fishing line for that. I mean, that's there's someone in there.
I mean, how would you be in there with no arms? Oh, maybe they got somebody that has no arms. That would be genius.
it's got somebody who literally doesn't have any arms. Yeah.
And like put like a blanket over them. Couple of armless people. That one kind of got stuck on something. Looked like. Real freaky though. I would not want to encounter these. gonna piss myself.
It's kind of short there, yeah.
Okay. So that's Fresno Nightcrawlers. Now
Yeah,
they're
so I saw
into
them-
this thing in Australia, the Tasmanian Devil or some shit. What were you saying?
So, those things I've seen, but it's like you were saying, Native Americans. That there's like that last video you went through, and it showed the United States, and there was like different weird sightings of things all over the place. Seems to line up with a lot of Native American stuff. So, like for instance, they have no areas in their religion or like their culture, and you'll run into what's called like the spirit of the lonely places or the spirit of nature, and that's usually like the Wendigo person with like a deer head. And Skinwalker Ranch is one of those places that the Indians don't go because they said it's like a cursed area.
I was reading about this place on this show, Mysterious Universe. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
They got like 25 seasons of podcasts, so I got a lot to catch up on. But the latest one talks about this place called The Meadow, a location so unusual that it rivals the infamous Skinwalker Ranch, south of the United States, deep in the south it says. So I don't know if that's Alabama or Texas or maybe in
What? It's just a meadow that looks like doesn't look.
I don't know anything about it. I just know that's the title of the podcast. It gives a little
Just
description.
looks nice.
This is what the website looks like. It's pretty cool.
Speaking of that, have you seen the movie Stalker from the 80s, the Russian created movie?
Oh, like the video game it's based on it or something?
Yeah, kind of like what it's based on, but the actual movie. It has, I mean, it has similarities with the video game, but nothing to do with the actual plot.
Reminds me of a lot of video game movies back then.
Is it about nuclear fallout?
No, it's like about a zone that is, I mean, kind of how you were going into with the meadow. Just look into it.
Yeah, this Tasmanian devil thing. Apparently they found one or something. The thylacine?
It was extinct, supposedly, right? I thought they were trying to use in vitro,
Maybe they found one or something?
and then they found one. Like, we're bring back this, like, dead species that we accidentally killed probably, like, 90 years ago.
Okay, so let me talk about this real quick. I saw this TV show. It was kind of stupid because they would say like how mysterious something is, and then they would tell you like the normal explanation for it, and you're like, well, why did you act like it was such a big deal?
Yeah.
This is called RAF Bentwaters. It's in England. It is a military base that's been abandoned, but they had this building called the Star Wars building. This is it here. Well, not what you're seeing right now, but it's a little bit delayed. But it has like this angular kind of shield-looking walls in front of the doors on one of these buildings. And then the other picture I showed you, this is like a big pipe coming out the back of an airplane hangar. And it was really mysterious, like why would there be such a thing? And then they explain it's like, I guess the military base is in a residential area, and in order to make it quieter when they're testing the aircraft, it has like, it's like a silencer on a gun. I guess they back the airplane up to it, and when they run the engine, it silences it.
Yeah, they got baffles.
I thought it was like a Stargate tunnel or something, like they had it in there. Big metal pipe. But can you even silence a plane like that? Does that work?
Planes are really fucking loud if you've ever been in an airport.
Oh, yeah. You can actually, okay, you can't silence it upward, but you can silence it to the edges, yeah, if you have baffles.
It's just, this military base was also kind of part of this Rendlesham Forest incident, UFO crash or something. And now they've got this Star Wars building that they call, that's like, nobody knows why they would make the walls like that. And they got bunkers, I guess, for kind of bunkers you'd see for chemical weapon storage or armaments and stuff.
Walls are distort sound, like you were saying. I mean, just when sound bounces to another surface, it loses density.
So let's see. There's like these military personnel that one of them saw these UFOs, and they kind of described it looking like this or something with these weird hand symbols around the outside. Let's see. I think like some other people saw it, or maybe it's a different one I'm thinking of. Like they didn't want to come forward. Oh, this guy got attacked by a witch. That's what I'm thinking of. I read something else where this cop got attacked by a witch. Like
Actual Wiccan witch throwing shit at him.
Like the old school kind that rides broomsticks, only it wasn't riding a broomstick, it was just in a tree. Jumps out on him, top of his car, freaks out, starts screaming, beating on his windshield. And then the thing is like hovering in the air. It's not touching the ground. But it looks like a witch with like really big eyes, or kind of like her eyes were wide open and wouldn't close, or something weird about the eyes.
She smoked enough meth to become a demigod.
I'm really hopping all over the place on the topics tonight. But speaking of witches, the Hellier Reddit I've been reading about. Let me read you some of this stuff. They talk about witchcraft, like paganism and normal witches and people that it's kind of like their religion, right? This woman says, as a witch and pagan of 16 years, this show opened my eyes wide and expanded the possibilities of my magic. I was already doing work for land spirits and the good neighbors.
The good neighbors.
But this link to the vital cryptid and UFO mythos feels fresh and whatever. So, what does she mean doing work for land spirits and the good neighbors? Does that mean like I looked up the good neighbors. That's like the fae folk or the fairies, I think. So these people, like, what are they doing? Are they going out in the woods and just like baking bread and putting pies and cakes out under trees and tying bells to trees and like offering them gifts? Like one guy, what was it down here?
I think there are people crazy enough to do that, to be honest.
Also not y'all. Not.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember watching a creepypasta or something along those lines.
Somebody was saying he had like a weird name of something. It lived in his backyard or something. A Tim Tom. Where'd that go? Saw that a minute ago. Got so many tabs open. I'm so confused. Oh, here we go. Let me show this on screen. Let's see. This is Living Liminally. They've also got a picture of the whatever I was talking about, the Wild Hunt. So he's talking about the good neighbors because I was trying to figure out what it was. He talks about stuff here. I don't know. Anyway, at the bottom, this guy says, our farm Tomtin lives in a tree in our front yard and we give him a share of the candy every Halloween. There's a large boulder next to our chicken coop where I leave offerings of cream, butter, and honey for the other land whites. A white's like an undead thing, right?
Yeah, the WR, right? Or the rights?
A white.
Whites? The whites.
Like Game of Thrones, the others.
Yeah, the same
The
thing
White
in Skyrim.
Walkers. He leaves cream, butter, and honey for him next to his chicken coop. For the whites, they'll leave you alone if you give them butter and honey. What the
You know
fuck's going
that
on?
rats eat butter and honey. This is probably the only thing coming over and
Oh,
eating it.
that's why he thinks this stuff exists, because rats come and eat his food. Well, the food's gone, so fairies must exist.
Must have been fairies.
I mean, a little bit of skepticism. It just blows my mind that people are out there doing this kind of stuff and like believing it, and they think they're doing workings and ceremonial magic and that it's doing stuff. Maybe it does something, but it's like people that think The Secret's a good book to like live your life by.
Yeah, you just hope that things will happen, they will happen. Which, that doesn't... It's just about being positive. That's the only thing that you can really get out of The Secret. Use positive thinking. But if you're like in a war-torn country like Syria or some shit, being positively isn't gonna fix the situation.
So there's all these worlds, like societies that are behind regular societies, like secret clubs, and there's paranormal people that believe paranormal shit, and there's cults, and all of these people vote, and they can influence the election. And like, you got everybody that's just crazy Christians, like, that kind of shit, and then you got people that believe they got fairies living in their backyard, and they have the same voting power as everybody else that are skeptical, scientific thinking, critical thinkers.
Yeah, it's a messy world because we got people in here who don't follow logic. They just try to well, it's the gods, it's the other stuff, and they don't want people to investigate shit. Like, if you show them that no, it's not actually a god, it's just a hallucination, or there's a scientific logic behind it, it's like they lose. Like some of these people, it's like that's the only thing keeping them motivated in life. It's like these weird beliefs they have.
Here's another thing that was on the Hellier Reddit. She was talking about the episode where Carl goes under hypnosis. And she was listening to that Mysterious Universe I was telling you about, and there's an episode where they're talking about this Donna Lynn book called From Fear to Love, and she talks about, I guess, alien abductions. I think she was abducted by aliens or something. And she talks about, she wakes up and there's like this praying mantis there, which is that pan thing we're talking about, how it looks like a praying mantis. 9 feet tall. His name was Croat. She gains the alien's trust, and he tells her about the alien's plan for humankind. He tells her that they are preparing tunnels that lead into caves, and that she has visions of government agents being led into these caves and drowned. That's how they get out of a treaty with the government, because the government's untrustworthy. They're drowning the government. I mean, I wish people would drown the government, but
But the issue with that is
missing.
the government's going to know that they've got people missing. And they're
other paranormal stuff starts happening to her. She says she was sleeping one night. She felt something pulling on her arm and then her finger, and it was painful. So she woke up and there was a little green goblin pulling on her finger. And when she sees it, it dematerializes and her finger is dislocated. So that's weird.
That's weird.
Oh, I also had this crazy thought the other day. This is going to blow your mind. So, we got all these aliens, UFO sightings, and we can't really contact them. They never stop and talk to us. Except for that case in like Africa. I think there was one that like stopped and talked to a bunch of kids on a playground. Did you hear about that one?
Killing children? What?
Oh, he stopped at a school. And like a bunch of all these kids, there's like 30 or 40 of them. They all witnessed the same shit. They'll talk about it today. Like, yeah, this UFO stopped outside of our school one day, and we all went out and like met the aliens or touched them or something like that, and they left. A couple of places in Africa, I think this happened. So maybe they are contacting us, but for the most part,
the government's trying to discredit it because they want the population to freak out.
Yeah, I guess the government could be in contact with them and they're just not telling us. But my thought was, what if, we think we're the most important things on the planet, but we're not? What if the Fae, the fairies, or the goblins, or something else is in this same space? Maybe it's a different realm, maybe it's the same realm and they're living in caves. I don't know. What if the UFOs came to the planet and they made first contact, but not with us, with the elves or the Fae or whatever?
Yeah.
Or the goblins.
Because we never hear about the monsters really fighting each other, right? Or the Fae fighting each other. It's always fighting the humans. The humans are fighting the Fae.
Maybe the aliens are looking for other creatures that are have magic or something, because the aliens are magical creatures. Or maybe they're so technologically advanced that to us it would seem like magic.
It would seem like magic. Like the Titans, when the Titans first started, came out in World of Warcraft. It's like all a magical stuff.
What if these creatures, the Fae that live on Earth, they're almost perfect beings, and we're just the retard version of them that kind of the byproduct of their fuck ups, and then we kind of colonize the outside of the Earth, but they're all hollow earthers or in caves or something. So they're all in this perfect land, with the aliens come and visit them through the mountains or mountain portals or something, and we're all just like a bacteria that fucks up the outside of the Earth, and they don't really care about us.
Imagine if this is a time is relative thing. So it's okay, the Fae's okay, we're not going to deal with humans anymore. We're are gonna go like become introverts and go underground. Like, and then let's say 200 years go past, and they're like, maybe I don't know, World War II's going on or something, and then it's just like it's too much bullshit, so they leave essentially the surface world to go underground. And then now they've come back to the surface after all this time, and they're like, what the fuck? Like humans cut down like all the forests and built like huge cities everywhere. Could be just that kind of thing. Like why we keep seeing this shit, because it's like re-emerging from underground tunnels and caves. We almost completely like terraformed the planet at this point.
And all those UFO sightings, like, disappear in the mountains somewhere.
Almost disappear in the mountains, yeah.
Or the ocean. It could be
So
ocean
like,
events.
what if aliens are from Earth? They're not actually from. They're just the Fae people, or what we would see as monsters. We're
Yeah,
like flying
kinda
around,
like-
just observing us, trying to figure out like what's the best way to deal with this human problem.
Or for something on the surface that they need that they can't get underground.
I don't know, like trees or something, right? 'Cause they like a lot of the Fae creatures that always live in the forests. But is that because humans we don't really like to live in the forest per se. We like to live in like meadows and plains and make sure like we cut back the forests so we have lots of room to build.
It's like a lot of these sightings of stuff, you'll hear about people that live in the forest. And it's just like they've always had encounters with some kind of weird paranormal creatures. Like those people in Hellier or whatever that said they saw goblins. It's like the whole town. It's like, yeah, we all see goblins. It's like they just don't tell the news about it, or they don't make it mainstream. Because I guess the internet didn't exist back when it was happening.
Yeah, they just assume like, well, there is goblins or there is. So most of the time when I've seen any kind of like idea of this, they're all humanoid looking, just like smaller versions of humans. But then if you go to more the mythological version of them and look at them, they look like ugly monsters usually, like trolls and all that other stuff.
Yeah. Speaking of goblins, you know how I was talking about like there's all these secret societies that are like behind normal society, cults and that kind of a thing. Like the guy I work with, his girlfriend, his mom. I went to their house last Thanksgiving, kind of meet her because she might end up being my boss because of the way things going with contracts and whatever. She's a witch. So then that's one weird thing. And then somebody was asking my friend I work with if he could get them into the KKK.
What?
And he was like, no, I can't get you into the KKK because then I'd have to join. I don't want to do that. Because, like, he says half his family's in the KKK. Another big thing. So he's dating a daughter of a witch and half his family's in the KKK. That's not even counting like people that are like the other guy I work with is like a swinger. He's done all kinds of sex cult shit probably. Bunch of eyes wide shut sex parties or who knows what kind of crap he gets into.
Some lemon parties or something.
Is my life just boring? Is that the only like I thought I had a pretty exciting, fun life. Everybody else is
I know,
conjuring magic and fucking everybody and killing black people. Burning crosses. I don't know.
Is it those? It's like those crazy Vatican sex parties. Like that was like, remember a while back. It was in the news, and then everyone just like forgot about it. Like, well, we already know they're up to no good. Like,
In the Vatican?
yeah, it was like this Vatican gay sex party thing with a bunch of high-ranking officials. This was like 2 years ago or something like that.
It's
I
like
remember
all
seeing
those,
it. Alex Jones was freaking out about it, but it was actually real news.
So the Catholic priests have been moving around. They always invite them all to like a get together or something.
Yeah, and had a bunch of drugs and ex-slaves there, I guess.
So I was looking at the Ku Klux Klan wiki because I was trying to figure out like the meaning of the name and like why they have like we were talking about. I guess somebody he knows wears a green robe. He's trying to figure out what that was, what rank that was, because like someone
And like
purple
Grand
robes.
Wizard and all that.
Yeah, like why do they have the name Wizard? Do they do kind of ceremonial magic? That's what I was looking for. Like, does the KKK do any kind of magic rituals or practice magic? And I couldn't find anything that they did. So I don't know why they call themselves Wizard. But then I started looking at the ranks, and that's even weirder. Where is it at on here? Man, there's a lot of info on KKK. The titles and vocabulary. If you go to Wikipedia, Ku Klux Klan titles and vocabulary. Apparently they spell everything with a K for some reason. Well, I guess
They wanted it to be 3Ks for some reason. Is that some sort of hidden meaning?
Let's go through some of these. Okay, and there are 4 levels of departments of organization above basic level. You got an empire, led by an imperial wizard and his staff of 10 genii, Genii, as well as a grand exchequer or treasurer and a grand scribe. So the treasurer and the scribe, that's just kind of basic FFA kind of bullshit, so we ain't gonna worry about those. The realms was laid out in the first prescript, were only defined as states in the second prescript. I don't know what that means. They're ruled by a grand dragon who was assisted by 8 hydras, like a multi-headed dragon. And they got a treasurer and a scribe. Dominions, such counties as the grand dragons of the several realms shall assign shall exceed 3 in number for each congressional district. The Dominion was headed by a great titan who was assisted by 6 furies and a scribe and a treasurer. What's a fury, first of all? Because I've heard of that. Is that like a wind spirit, like a tornado? Furies of Calderon was one of those Dresden Files. The same author wrote those books about those.
Greek mythology, Furies were like women soldiers or something.
The Erinyes, also known as the Furies, were female chthonic deities of vengeance in ancient Greek mythology. They would take vengeance on men whosoever has sworn a false oath. They kind of look like angels, but with like red wings or black wings. I thought it was like a wind spirit.
Maybe. Like in WoW, maybe a Fury would be a wind spirit.
I feel like there's some good video game ideas in here. Tisiphone? Euripides? Alright, anyway, back to the KKK. And then you've got a province, which is headed by a grand giant who was assisted by 4 goblins. Goblins! All comes back to the goblins. The grand dragon wore green colored robes, it says here, so maybe that's what a grand dragon is. That would make sense. Dens were the basic level of organization, so that's underneath those 4 higher levels. Their chief was a grand cyclops who appointed 2 nighthawks, a grand turk, grand sentinel, grand magi, a grand ensign, and it's already like more people than I even thought were in the KKK. There's more ranks than I thought there were members. How many fuck people are in the KKK?
There's like the pictures of all the different outfits for these different.
Is this how many are in it now? Or is this like back in the 40s?
Back when it was popular, more popular.
Then it says something about tribunals. There was a judiciary thing. I guess like you could get in trouble somehow. Like, how do you get in trouble in the KKK? You're not killing enough
Not
black
being
people?
racist enough. Yeah. Being too
Marrying a
racist.
black woman.
Yeah, that'd probably be.
They would have a
Grounds to
grand
kick you out.
council of yahoos to try officers of the clan, and a grand council of centaurs to try regular ghouls. I think a ghoul is just like a normal, everyday white
Like a
rogue.
fucking peon or something.
Yeah. So they don't go around calling each other ghouls. I've never even heard of that before. Maybe somebody fuck with this Wikipedia page. Like, you know, you can edit it and like nobody checks it.
Yeah, it probably is because it's talking about shit that like it sounds like this is the council of the fairy kingdom or something.
Additionally, a grand tycoon notified clansmen in Lebanon and Tennessee. I think I've been there. I think they had a really good Long John Silver's, if I remember right.
How many clansmen were sitting next to you?
And then jurisdictions. They have Invisible Empire. All things outside this empire were designated the alien world and non-members aliens.
Are they saying that everyone who's not white's an alien?
Chief officer of a clan was an exalted Cyclops, and the subordinate officers are known as the 12 Terrors. And then they have like all these other officials, like a Clalif and a Clocard and a Clud and a Clegrap, Claby, Clad, Clarago, Clexter. This is
Playing,
like secretary, treasurer, vice president, lecturer, chaplain. It's like the FFA.
It reminds me of like Dungeons and Dragons or something.
Now, even
I'm
the
the
FFA is
dungeon
kind of weird, isn't it? Like the FFA had like one of the symbols was the owl, like Moloch. Right?
Moloch the Owl. These are the same kind of fucking people that be worshipping a fucking giant Moloch statue.
I feel like I'm just like missing out on like everybody knows some secret shit except me. Why do I not know about all this?
They're not fucking women. They're probably out there fucking women and having a good time.
If I was raised like a little bit farther in the direction, I would probably be like a racist farming family, and I would be in the FFA, and I would know all about the KKK,
Probably.
and that would lead me into a journey on practicing like ceremonial magic with Aleister Crowley or something. I don't know. Like I know that guy that had this whole story. Did I tell you about this guy I used to work with?
Which one?
He was like a genius. He was like a polyglot, knew a bunch of different languages. He said he
The
used to
one
be
you're-
a cult leader.
Well, yeah, it was like the guy who you were talking to. He's like, oh, I'm a Christian now, so I'm a good person.
Yeah, now he's a Christian.
Now he's a Christian. But before, he was fucked up and was
I
like...
think he said there were like 200 people in his cult, and like the police would show up at these wild parties he would have, and then somehow he would like mentally fuck with the police, and they would just walk away and they would leave, wouldn't mess with him. And then he was trying to, at the nearby college, he had this friend that was in one of the science labs or something. He was trying to create a virus that was mixing kudu virus and Ebola or something. It was going to be like mapped to his specific DNA where it wouldn't affect him, but he could be infected with it, and then he would have sex with all these women, which he was doing a lot of different people. And then they would all get it, and they would like spread it like the plague, and he would be like Jim Jones.
You're talking about
or-
war crimes, basically, like biological weapons and shit.
Yeah.
Ebola is like super nasty. It'll kill you in like 4 days.
And he was telling me about how like the interstate that goes from Louisville on south is like this human trafficking, and like most of the trucks you'll see on the highway and the cocaine cowboys or something like that. And then there's that
I wonder about that, because it's like a lot of people.
big drug rings
like-
and stuff.
I'm assuming to a degree. Like, I was watching something that was like talking about statistics about children being sold into like sex trafficking and all that. It was kind of staggering. Like, how many fucking children are just... They're sold like cattle, essentially. And then, like, people weren't even really that surprised after, like Epstein Island was unveiled, and everyone was like, yeah, we already kind of thought. Going. Like, aliens, like, you know, the government came out and said, was talking about all those alien sightings they declassified. They were, like, talking about how it seems like most people, mainstream's like, whatever. It's like, because of movies and video games, it's desensitized to like real life. It's like,
What if all these kids we think are being sex trafficked? What if they're being given up to aliens so that they can make clones because they don't have enough human DNA for whatever they need to make, like alien hybrids or something?
There's that. There's like some creepypastas I saw about like where the Nexpo was talking about alien hybrid kind of stuff. Because they've already started doing some of that Chimera stuff. Alex Jones was talking about that like years ago and thought it was crazy until they like started talking about it. China was talking about, what was it? They took a pig and a monkey or something, and so it's got like ape embryos, so its heart is going to be like big enough for a human. So eventually, when they harvest the pig for its organs, they can take the heart out of it and like give it to a human, because it's close enough DNA-wise between like an animal and it's not quite human, so it's not like breaking any Geneva Convention rules, but it's not quite like, it's just right in that threshold, you know.
Would it be moral to like grow a clone of yourself just for like having spare parts? Just like kill him off and
Only
take
if
all of
that-
his parts?
Problem with that is your clone wouldn't have to be like how do you do that exactly? Because it's like, if you have a clone,
You take your DNA and you would just copy it.
No, I mean, but then they're like, would they actually be a baby, or you'd have them in like a tube to grow to maturity, and then it would be kind of like,
They just have to get
Judge-
to like old enough to where their organs are working, right?
yeah, big enough, I guess. Like at that point, you don't even really need a person. You just need, like, they already have this stuff where, in China, they just go and throw all those people they don't like in internment camps and harvest their organs. What they've just been doing.
Even if you
Possible.
cloned yourself, it would be a different person because you wouldn't have the same memories and experiences.
Memories and experiences. Like if I was raised differently, and
But
Whatever, I'd
if
probably-
we figured out a way to take a snapshot of our brain and have like nanobots reconstruct the exact neural pathways, then see, I had a theory about that because if we did something like that, right?
Hmm.
A lot of things like repressed memories and PTSD stuff that you tried to forget about, those would be like brand new because I don't, unless you figured out a way to make it use those
yeah,
deteriorate
Well, like-
or whatever.
it's like, okay, so when you've seen, if you've ever seen something like really disgusting or whatever, and then you get over it because it's like your job or whatever, just like get used to it. Then the first person, if they're experiencing that for the first time, would they just like, because especially if someone saw all of your memories, like if you just gave your
Oh,
memories to
yeah.
a clone and they got to experience everything, like wouldn't they have like a seizure because it's too much to deal with or something?
Probably. Or if we had some kind of technology where we could read each other's thoughts, and you could just go around and like know everything everybody else around you knows.
Well, then there wouldn't really be a need for like managers or anything, or like going to school or anything. You just like download from the internet. Okay, I know everything. Guess I'll just go and do those things.
But like you know how when people disagree and they have wars over shit, and like both sides think that they're doing the right thing. Like the Nazis thought
Yeah,
they were doing a good thing by cleansing the human race of certain, so that everybody's the same. They're trying to make it like everybody's blonde haired and blue eyed, so there's no more racism because there's only one race.
Yeah.
But like nobody agrees that's the best way to do that. But maybe if you get inside their brains, they could justify it somehow. If you can figure out exactly like what experiences they had that led up to their thoughts about it. But
Yeah, I could understand that. Like for instance, like my parent or my dad gave me like advice was like about certain races. Like obviously, if I discussed that on the podcast, it'd probably be a bit racist. But generally, I think he got to that conclusion is because people that he had spent time with from those races probably fucked him over in some way, and so now he has like that picture in his mind for like, okay,
yeah,
They
the
were saying,
thing is like if you experience bad things from a race, it's usually because that's just the area that they're in. Like if you take a
Yeah.
black guy and you raise him with like a white family, he's going to be just like a white person.
yeah.
It's all about nature versus nurture in that case. Or like
So,
British
like-
people that are black. They're nothing like American blacks.
No, they talk like British people, have like a British accent.
But like
Yeah.
it would be good if everybody looked the same, so there was no kind of cognitive bias on the way somebody looks. But I guess
Problem with that,
the liberal
that-
way to get that is like everybody fucks each other until everybody's a nice mixed brown in the future.
yeah, well, because you'd have the Asians and all the other races, so it'd be like a brown Asian or something, mixed race. But then the problem with that is like people would still have different colored hairstyles because there's dominant trait.
We would find
and-
something to hate somebody over.
We would, because white people still have wars over all sorts of bullshit. Like for hundreds of years during the medieval ages, we're just got the Dutch and the Germans and the.
You still
all
have
butchered
fat people.
fighting each
'cause
other.
Not everybody wants
Well,
to get
fat
up and
people.
do stuff physically.
Yeah, lazy people. Some people I know they got so much fucking energy, or they have like determination. Like they just get up at 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning every morning, if they don't have to, and do a bunch of shit.
It's weird, like when I'm reading my book at work, and like my coworker and my boss, like I know they don't read books, so I feel weird because I'm like, I'm doing something
just-
that they never do. Like they're chewing tobacco and shit, which I never do. But I don't know if they feel weird about that. But it's like, I'm like Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. Like a mind needs a book, like a knight needs a sword, or a sword needs a whetstone. Whatever he says. Like I gotta, keep my brain sharp. You gotta read stuff.
That's generally what I think you've been. You read a lot of fucking books. Look how many books you have on your shelf there.
That's the ones I haven't read. I got a
All
book.
they ever do is
The big
read the
shelf's
Bible
twice
over and
as-
over again, right?
Yeah.
And they've already read it once through, and they want to do Bible studies where you gotta like read it again. I never really understood that. It's like I read it already. Why do I have to do studies and read about it again?
Because it's written in a way that there's multiple choice interpretations of it, so you can make it say whatever you want it to say.
Oh, and that's why cult leaders are kind of easy to take over. Because of like religion, and then like it's very easy. So if like when you tell children about Santa Claus, they believe you, right? Because you don't have any other reason not to trust you, because you've been, feeding them and keeping them,
I don't think I would do that to
Airport and all
my
that.
kids if I had a kid.
yeah, and be like Santa Claus ain't real. We
I would
just do it
tell
to
them
keep you
about the
good.
fucking magic mushrooms and how it all came from them. Amanita muscaria being red and white, and Sinterklaas, the fairy king. Whatever, I tell them the real shit.
People eat some fucking mushrooms and trip balls and like watch Santa Claus deliver them presents. It's like, eh. It was kind of like an interesting idea because it's like wintertime is usually a pretty depressing, shitty time. It's cold. Back then people didn't have inside heating, so it was a lot of
So they started
Using-
drinking reindeer piss to see what would happen. Got
Yep,
high
mixed
as fuck.
get high as fuck. They also talked about those were the same ones the berserkers would use, would eat them and then they go completely berserk and lose the feeling of like pain,
Empathy.
also, and they just go to war.
Have you heard
Yeah.
about these snakes that people have been seeing in the snow lately?
Snakes in the snow? No, I have not seen.
This is
I
like
saw videos
mostly
talking about people
Kentucky
talking
thing,
about
I
how the
guess.
snow isn't real or something because it's like I can't snow in Texas. This snow is fake.
What?
Like a light. Yeah, there's videos on Facebook of these people like lighting the snow with their lighters, and they're like, "See how it's not real snow? It's not melting correctly." Motherfucker, you.
Oh, that was like
in
last
Texas.
year, wasn't it? Or year before?
This was
remember something about
video.
that.
There's a video. I saw it on YouTube already.
I think it's like chemtrails made the snow that way or something.
Yeah, they're
It's
like, "Oh, it's
flammable?
never this snowy here." So they're like, "I can't." But there are also people who don't believe in like a warming kind of stuff. So they're
I remember
like,
somebody had a snowball that they were trying to light on fire or something. What's that
"Yeah,
about?
something." It's like they never seen snow and they don't understand how snow works. And we eat ice cream and have refrigerators and
Anyway, a friend of mine on Facebook has been posting all these pictures of snakes, and then, like in Kentucky, they've been out during the snow, and like I guess they hibernate.
easy to spot now.
Do
Yeah.
snakes hibernate, or what do they do?
Yeah, they do. They usually have dens. But if it came all of a sudden and they're not used to it, right? Normally you have really, really fucking mild.
Or I guess the thing they were saying was that if you see a snake in the snow, it usually means there's an earthquake coming.
Oh,
Because
That's
we live in like the New Madrid fault zone. So they think there's going to be a big earthquake here because we're due to have one or something.
hmm. So like, kind of like it's just a waiting game now. San Andreas was supposed to have like a big one. It's supposed to be so powerful it's gonna wreck the shit out of everything.
Oh yeah. I was thinking of the video game when you said that. Like Grand Theft Auto.
Oh, well, you know what I mean. It's the fault lines through there. San Francisco, San Andreas.
You ever seen that from overhead, like aerial view?
Looks like a big, like, zipper mark across the landscape.
Yeah. That's crazy. Let me show it on screen. There's a picture. That's just some trees. That's fucking long though. That'd be pretty intimidating
Yeah, I wouldn't want to fall in there.
if you live next to that all the time. It's like why
It's
people
like-
build their houses in places like next to the beach when they can be flooded.
Yeah. Like, I know that a lot of big issue. I was talking to Fly Jim about this. Was it's not that nuclear power is bad. Is that people keep building them next to like fault points, or fault lines, or areas that could be easily flooded.
Holy shit, we got an emergency alert. National flood warning. till 1 a.m. Doing it live. Breaking news. Do not attempt to travel unless you're fleeing an area subject to... Wait, this is like... Don't they only do these for like Amber Alerts or like a federal emergency?
Flash flood warning is in effect for this area until...
I don't want to say what area I'm in, so we'll cut it off. But it is raining outside. Anyway, I was going to point out like some of these crevasses in the glaciers.
Oh yeah, I've been to some of those.
Like you could fit a UFO into some of these. Like you never see the bottom of them. Some of them are so deep. Like, you could,
Yeah,
they
they're
could
so
be going
fucking
deep
deep.
the Hollow Earth. What the fuck is that?
There's actually a big ass cave they found in British Columbia recently. It's like this vertical drop hole that just goes into the ice. They're gonna explore it.
Only got a couple more things to talk about. I guess we'll cut it off because we're getting some lightning strikes in the area. I saw a story about a guy he went missing, and they looked on the CCTV security cameras on his apartment, and they see him go into his apartment building, but they never saw him go out, and he's missing. So where did he fucking go?
Out through the window like Dexter, just eluding the fucking...
Or I guess they had every angle covered, or it wouldn't even have been a story, I assume.
They go in there and they can't find the secret trap door that leads outside.
Maybe he's a time traveler.
Yeah, guys, I'm just gonna go. My people need me.
Another thing I was going to mention is this show, Strange Angel. It's on like season 2, I guess. It's based on this guy Parsons, who was part of the Aleister Crowley thing. What is it? Let me see. Biography of Thelemic magician and scientist John Whiteside Parsons. He was a rocket scientist. He worked for... Did he work for NASA, or was he doing like his own thing? He's like working with this one dude trying to like create a liquid fueled rocket instead of like they were using gas rockets back then. He fell into a mysterious world that included sex magic rituals at night and became a disciple of occultist Aleister Crowley.
Sex magic.
Yeah, where's sex magic?
Not the good magic that gets like the demons really showing up at your front door.
Is it like you have sex until you get into a mental state where you can like...
Or can't.
Like, you know when you're about to have an orgasm and there's like a certain point where you don't give a fuck anymore about anything except having that orgasm?
Yeah.
Is that like
Lost mode or something.
Is that like with the Bohemian Grove cult? You know, they like sacrifice care. Like you get to a point where you don't care about anything, so you have sex, and you don't care about anything, and then you stop having sex, and then you can do magic or something. Maybe that's how.
Yeah,
it works.
it's all kind of weird because it kind of throws up a. It's usually what I see kind of sex magic stuff. It's like they have sex and then they have what they're doing, like some sort of chants, candles usually, and like summoning circles. Like, how does that all like work together? It's interesting because as humans we create technology, and like your little your computer doesn't work without all the parts. And like how does sex magic work? Do you have to have all of these things to get everything like working properly?
Fabian says, always fun to listen to T2 Fire. That's true. I did see a weird article earlier about people used to summon demons to have sex with them. But then the church, I guess the Catholic Church or whatever church got involved and they stopped it. But like it used to be like a normal thing, I guess. Summoning
the pagan
demons.
stuff, like you gotta learn sex with you fuck the fairy people and they'll impart upon you some knowledge or something.
Did you ever see that movie Dragnet?
Dragnet?
Dragnet. It's got Dan Aykroyd, Tom Mankiewicz. Yeah, they're like two detectives, and they end up like they look into this cult, and part of the cult they have to like infiltrate them, so they put on these goat leggings, and they end up in this pit with a giant boa constrictor in it, and they feed him a bunch of drugs, and there's like all these cultists like doing sex shit around, like doing magic, I guess. It's real like Aleister Crowley looking-ish.
Yeah, I wonder because he wrote that book, and you were talking about last time about the Satan's Bible that was all like no one could have possibly done it in like one night. A fucking printer would have a hard time chugging that along.
Here's some photos. They're wearing like these goat leggings. Here's some.
I'm watching the stream. I don't see any goat leggings.
It's coming.
Oh boy.
This is similar to what that guy's avatar looked like in that Worlds.com video game that was leading people to the hill.
Hmm.
Yeah, here they're sitting on a police car, their outfits. One of them's got a mohawk. What kind of cult is this? I don't know.
Like you think about cops and all, and anybody who's in power, they're just people still. They could be influenced by this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, here's another thing. Skinwalker caught on camera.
This video was taken at the end of last month by a resident
He just ran
of
across the
small
street.
town of Rocky Gully,
What is that
Western
thing, though?
Australia, who goes by the name
The
of
legs look like human legs, but it looks like a really long legged, like a whippet dog or something.
Forest at night when
It makes me wonder. It's like you find a homeless person or something that's really looks weird because of meth or something. You're like, I'll pay you $50 to like run across the street wearing this outfit or something.
Not this fucking thing. Is this a new cryptid nobody's talked about? It's kind of like...
Yeah, look at it scurry away. It's like a person.
This looks CGI, but it's kind of like how they described Slender Man a long time ago. Like, look at this spider. This definitely looks like CGI. But this thing... It's like crawling up a building. It's fucking ginormous.
Oh, the
It's
crawler
reaching
thingy?
across like a sloth. I mean, it's kind of blurry to like be CGI, isn't it? I guess you could make CGI and then
Shitty,
Blur
really
it.
shitty, low tier.
there's an even blurrier one, which makes it even more convincing. It's got like
Yeah, what the fuck
pinchers
is that?
on it for hands. It's like two little pinchers.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's like climbing up the wall. Yeah, I've seen this before.
Yeah, here's the older video. This is even blurrier, but I think I saw this video about Slender Man. Like this was what they said Slender Man would do. He would
Yeah,
hide
it
and
was
get into
like-
your window.
Yeah, so it's like maybe that's a real stick bug that they just like. It looks. You know what it reminds me of?
What?
No, there's a wacky inflatable arm man.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. But all these things, like, how do I know that's just not like sticking insect crawling across your fucking the lens of the camera or something?
Did you know there's a cryptid called the Oklahoma octopus?
That sounds silly.
Oklahoma's being a landlocked state. They wouldn't
Well,
expect it to have an octopus. I guess
Yeah,
it's-
there's no like rivers connecting over there.
I guess it's a lake octopus.
Probably just a big jellyfish or something. Jellyfish. They found jellyfish inside of like old abandoned tailing ponds, for, like mining, and like nothing should be able to live in those.
Those are saltwater creatures.
Yeah, but it's like there's salt in the tailing ponds and like chemicals from extracting minerals, and they're like still alive and just hanging out. Like nothing else lives in there.
I think if we ever did find aliens, they would be kind of like a Cthulhu type thing, like a cephalopod, octopus, or a squid with like a hard shell to survive, like being out in vacuum without a suit.
Oh yeah, you'd probably have to, right?
But then they could open
like-
up and they could have like soft flesh on the inside, maybe.
Well, the issue with that, you'd have to be made out of some sort of material that's not gonna, because it's gonna, one side of space is gonna be like really cold, and then your backside that's facing the sun is gonna be like super hot. Like we've managed to do it with our spacesuits, right? But like, I don't know how. But I'm assuming aliens could probably just 3D print something.
You think they made 3D printers? I mean, I guess that makes sense. Eventually,
Well, then-
everything will like make a like a manufacturing platform that just creates stuff out of whole cloth. Like you put stuff in, it
Yeah, and it just
melts
does
it down to its basic molecules, and then creates whatever you want out of those molecules.
Now, from what I've been told, it's like it does take a lot of energy to do any of that kind of stuff.
A fabricator.
Yeah, like to break something down to its core components like that takes a lot of energy. But I'm thinking you could probably do it in a way like there's always like cheat codes. There's always like, oh, I could do this and I could do that, and then if I, I could.
You know how, have you ever got like a clam out of the ocean or a river or whatever? And like how hard it is to pull the clam apart? 'Cause it's got that muscle.
Oh,
It pulls
the
it
muscle,
closed
yeah.
tight, and it's like a fucking suction cup thing. Like, that's how I imagine it. Like when they're out in space, they have a shell that they can like pull in like that, and it all just sucks in and like creates a protection from vacuum. It's like chitin on the outside.
Yeah, well.
But then they
I
only need
mean-
to open up when they need to like eat or shit or fuck.
Well, if you think about it, it probably would work because creatures that live at the bottom of the ocean, there's probably you could probably find some deep sea crustaceans or something. They're like what about a crab? Right? They have they're like they got their fleshy bits underneath all that exoskeleton.
Yeah, that's what you need. Like a humanoid crab.
Crab or insect people.
But when you go into like deep vacuum, you need to like suck your joints all in together. Well, you still need to be mobile, I guess, but then not really because there's no air resistance. You need maybe like a nautilus, you know, those little sea creatures that they shoot water out the back or something. They propel themselves forward.
Oh,
Something like a
yeah.
thruster, like a little thruster built into your asshole, like a fart. Shoot you through space.
yeah, but then it's like that's air or water, but then you would probably need something to like infinitely do that. You know, like it's interesting because it's like there's a lot of undersea creatures who can withstand huge amounts of pressure. Then if you bring them back to the surface, even if you go through decompression like a chamber, their bodies were essentially supported by the pressure of the water, and they'll just like melt and fall apart.
Yeah, like if you go out into space, your bones become brittle. If you stay
Yeah.
out there too long. Lose density. How long has it
One-
been? What are we at here?
77 minutes.
Oh, that's pretty good. Alright, so this has been Supernatural Instinct. Hopefully Bob will be back for the next one. Been trying to message him. He's been off Discord for about a week. He's supposed to have a bunch of stuff first we can talk about.